Hi, I'm Jacinda Coonahan and you're watching Coast Community News 5 at 5, November 2020. On the agenda this balmy Friday, the state budget was released this week, but there's been some mixed reactions. Council Administrator Dick Person has been making moves, and the Central Coast is set to be one of 4 renewable energy zones in the state. Let's start off with the budget. Go to David.
Yep, thanks JC. The COVID-delayed New South Wales budget was presented in the New South Wales Parliament by Treasurer Dominic Perrottet on Tuesday, with an emphasis on building the New South Wales economy post-COVID. The headline figures point to a $107 billion infrastructure pipeline and a series of tax reforms, most notably in payroll tax reductions and a slow move away from the current stamp duty on property sales to a land tax model for property owners. Though this state budget has more detailed spending posts than most, thanks in part to record borrowings from the government that will put the state $50 billion in debt this financial year and peak at $100 billion by mid-2024. I had a post-budget chat with Parliamentary Secretary Adam Crouch.
Whether it be the $5,000 grants for women affected by COVID-19 to overcome those obstacles, whether it be the $1,500 worth of vouchers for small business to overcome the hurdles of paying for bureaucracy. These are real differences it's going to make to small businesses right across the Central Coast. This $100 worth of out and about vouchers is absolutely brilliant for us to be able to support our local businesses, our local cafes and restaurants, and obviously tourism sites and cultural attractions. So this is a win-win for the Central Coast.
It's great to see that they're not just focusing in on restaurants, cafes and catering kind of concept. They're also focusing on the arts and tourism, which over the years have struggled, especially with COVID-19 and the impacts that it's had. And it's great to try and join us together as such and under one scheme and really kind of bring people and get them out of home as well, which is a great thing.
Thanks, David. On to council news. Administrator Dick Person secured a second $50 million loan for operational costs this week. This is in addition to the first $50 million loan, which will be used for debt refinancing and capital works. Bruce McLaughlin, suspended councillor, had a chat with us about his opinions on the administrator's progress.
You've met with the administrator, we understand. How do you think his progress is going so far?
I've had one meeting with him. All the councillors, I think, have had a meeting with him, and I've been quite impressed with his business-like attitude. I think he's the right person for the job. I think he's apolitical. He's had background with other merged councils, and I noticed he was in the Northern Beaches Council where he set up a merger saving fund, which I thought was quite clever, and put the savings together, and that's putting $20 million a year for the next 10 years together. And his comments have been quite favourable, that the merger hasn't been the issue. It's been the management of the merger process. So I've always been supportive of the regional council and the merger, and I always thought there was some benefits there if it was pursued. And other councils that have got in and pursued it are actually starting to reap the reward. So refreshing to hear his comments reinforce that sort of opinion.
In good news for commuters, after many years of community lobbying, $34 million out of the New South Wales budget has been dedicated to upgrading Tuggerah train station. The money will be used to install 2 lifts and a walkway. In other railway announcements, train customers and residents are invited to provide feedback on proposed accessibility upgrades at Point Clare railway station. Social housing has become a highly discussed issue lately, with rental properties almost next to none in the region. Last week, we spoke with Parliamentary Secretary for the Central Coast, Adam Crouch, about a new social housing development in Gosford, which is good news, but state opposition local MP David Meehan said there is still not enough, highlighting a series of public housing properties which have been vacant for over 8 years. Read more about this in all of our newspapers this week. And Central Coast was included in one of 4 New South Wales Renewable Energy Zones, aka REZ. So I'll flick back to David for more info.
Yes, that's right, JC. The Central Coast has been successful, together with the Hunter, to become the 4th so-called REZ, that is the Renewable Energy Zone. Now, a Renewable Energy Zone is a new way of saying cheap power, but mainly from renewable energies, that is to say wind, battery, solar and so on. Now this is a big deal, particularly for private investors who have been looking for this surety to pour their investments into for many years. This was passed unanimously in the lower house of the state parliament, so it has backing of both the major parties. However, the Labor Party said it's looking to make some minor amendments. The head of the Sustainable Industries Group on the Central Coast, Bruce Cottrell, had a chat to us and said that he's looking very much forward to this becoming a reality because, as he said, manufacturers and retailers alike are looking for low-cost renewable energy to be able to include that into their documentation for their supply lines. So this is a major win and a great lobbying win for the Hunter and the Central Coast.
And winner of the 2020 Australian Surfing Rising Star Award and named Surfing Life's #1 junior female in the Hottest 100 Talent, Molly Picklum is regarded as one of Australia's most exciting and up-and-coming talents and has been making waves both locally and internationally after winning the 2019 World Surf League Australia-Oceania Junior Championships. And local cheerleading club Central All-Stars will be competing in the largest virtual cheerleading competition in the world on November 27 and 28, organised by the Australian All-Star Cheerleading Federation. 7 teams aged between 5 and 17 will compete against teams from all over Australia by live streaming their routines to judges from their gym in West Gosford. And if you're a long-suffering Mariners fan like I am, there hasn't been much to cheer about in recent years, but you may be heartened a little bit to know that Scottish defender and Mariners great Ziggy Gordon has re-signed. So there's a little bit of good news. And turning to weather, the weather this weekend, well, it's going to be hot. 24 degrees tomorrow and 40 degrees Sunday. Chance of a late thunderstorm on Sunday. Back to you, JC.
All of these stories and thousands more are available on our news website. Don't forget to pick up a copy of this week's Coast Community News, Coast Community Chronicle and Pelican Post. Make sure you subscribe to all of our socials for updates during the week. We leave you today with an interview we had with local Ken West, who is the founder of the Big Day Out Festival. He spoke to us about the success of the festival and the changing music landscape. Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Seeing as I just wasted 4 years at art school to get a useless diploma, I'll give music 4 years, and at the end of that, if I can't make a living out of it, I'm going to have to get a real job. So I approached that as my next course and did everything from artwork, poster design, as the record label manager, agent, lighting person, loader, door person, driver, and normally on the same day. The essence of the problem of the Central Coast is for too long it's been about the dying. Yeah. And it needs to be a bit more about the living. Yeah. Young people need to be encouraged to want to live here. You've got a city exodus that's going on, that they're going, wow, living in a shit apartment in Newtown's not that much fun anymore.